What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, I'll be ranking my top 10 quarterbacks of all time in NFL history. If you like football content or NFL content, stuff like that in general, make sure to like and subscribe. It means the world to me. And without further ado, let's get into it. What would a top 10 list be without some honorable mentions? These are just some quarterbacks, in my opinion, that just miss the top 10. These are two great quarterbacks, however, just not making my top 10. I think these are the two closest to the top 10. I don't really know. Troy just misses out for me. I think he's kind of overrated. I think he's in a similar position as Terry Bradshaw, to where they have these Super Bowl wins. They're just more of a, they were more of a game manager than a game difference maker, I guess. That's kind of how I view him. Steve Young, you know, he's all these quarterbacks will be Hall of Famers, right? It just was really hard to go down to 10, and these are just some guys that kind of missed out for me. And for my old heads out there, I brought some old guys. Bart Starr won the first couple Super Bowls. Sammy Baugh, he played like in like the 30s or some shit, but he was probably the best player from the old days. I think if you want to talk about old players, though, these are the two that stick out the most. I think Johnny Unitas was kind of the first superstar quarterback, as well as Otto Graham. I think these are the two like superstar quarterbacks in the old days, and if anyone from the old days would make a top 10, it's probably these two. However, I just don't place a lot of value on the old school football. Same thing with basketball. It's just my mindset that as things progress, as sports go into the future, the athletes just get better and better to the point where these old guys, they kind of become obsolete. But without further ado, let's get into this top 10.
Of the United States, and we are going to make.
I know I said these old school guys don't deserve these to be in the top 10, but I think Roger Staubach's different, right? And this is not just being a biased Cowboys fan, but he was fantastic. A two-time Super Bowl champ, and he went to 4. A one-time Super Bowl MVP. He won Super Bowl 6 and Super Bowl 12, and he lost a couple too. 6-time Pro Bowler, holding a record of 85 wins and 29 losses, which is absurd. That's an absurd record. I don't know what the winning percentage of that is, but it's absurd. I tried to do the math, but my brain just couldn't figure it out. I didn't know like what to divide or anything. And it needs to be stated that he didn't start his NFL career until he was 27. I mean, that is 5-6 years past however early some of these other guys started. You know why? Because he was a goddamn hero serving our country in the military. God bless you, Roger. He was named to the NFL 100th anniversary all-time team, which is a pretty big, I mean, that's pretty impressive. And he was also part of the 1970s all-decade team. But I think Staubach was super ahead of his time. He was pretty much a better Fran Tarkenton. You know, this agile guy that had fantastic puck presence. You know, average arm, but it was really the athleticism that he held. And who knows, if he didn't start playing at 27, start playing at 22, even 24, 3 years of a prime Staubach. I mean, how many Super Bowls could he have gone to? I think he's a big what if. He did win the Heisman, but he played for Navy, so he had to go to the military. So we didn't really get to see him until he was 27. And I just think he's a big what if. But yeah, I think he deserves to be on here ahead of his time. And American hero, and he deserves to be in the top 10 in my opinion.
Did you steal my money? Did you steal my money?
Brett Favre gets overshadowed by the illegal things he's doing in Mississippi, and I'll say it, I'm against it. I don't like what he's doing over there. If it was up to me, I would stop it. You have to say he is a top 10 quarterback of all time. I think this is a good spot for him, in my opinion. A 3-time NFL MVP, and that's 3 in a row, which is absurd. 11-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 1-time Super Bowl champ, 71,838 yards, which is 4th all-time, 508 passing touchdowns, which is again 4th all-time. He was named to NFL's 1990s All-Decade team. He has 297 consecutive starts, which is the most in NFL history, and he has 188 wins, which is 2nd for quarterbacks. However, on the flip side, he also leads the NFL in interceptions thrown of all time. So he is the most gunslinger in NFL history. He has the positive stats to back up why he should be in the top 10. However, he was just careless with the football. Pretty much the exact opposite of Aaron Rodgers, which is ironic because he is kind of Rodgers' mentor, in which Rodgers is known for protecting the football, where this guy just threw it away. You know, he has the infamous NFC Championship game where he just throws the interception where he could have took it to overtime. But I just think he has those negative connotations to him. But he has the stats that backs up a top 10 quarterback. However, just the inability to protect the football, I think that kind of hinders him. And the fact that he's a criminal, the fact that he's stealing welfare money from poor people in Mississippi so that his daughter can have a volleyball stadium or some shit. 3-time NFL MVP, 3 in a row. He has to be in your top 10. Another gunslinger, John Elway, 2-time Super Bowl champion, 1-time Super Bowl MVP, 1-time MVP, 9-time Pro Bowler, a 3-time All-Pro, named to NFL's 1990s All-Decades team, and he has 149 wins, which is 7th for a quarterback. We just talked about Brett Favre being a gunslinger. I mean, this guy's a gunslinger too. I know it doesn't mean anything coming from me, but I kind of lose respect for him for kind of what happened with the Colts. Drafted by the Colts, pretty much said, I'm not going to play there. He was being a little bitch about it, so they traded him to the Broncos. And it's just like, when you're the best player, you should, and you're going number 1 overall, it's just like, kind of have to play where you're, I don't know, I didn't like that precedent that it showed. Again, it means nothing coming from me. We saw something similar with Eli. However, it just has a negative connotation, negative stigma I have towards John Elway. However, you have to give him the respect. One of the best quarterbacks of the 90s. Another gunslinger, just like Brett Favre. Yeah, you gotta give this guy respect. Elite. To be honest, I don't give a fuck about John Elway. I don't give a fuck. I really don't.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell.
Dan Marino. I mean, imagine this guy played in today's league. A 9-time Pro Bowler. 1-time MVP. First quarterback ever to pass for 5,000 yards in a season. And in the same season, he was the first quarterback to ever pass for 40 touchdowns in a season. And keep in mind, this guy played in the 80s, right? Nobody was doing it like this guy. Dan Marino has stats that would hold up to today's league, and he was doing this shit 40 years ago, and he is still top 10 in yards and touchdowns despite playing 40 years ago. I mean, this is incredible. And how pass heavy the league is now, a guy like Dan Marino, I wouldn't even be surprised if he could throw for 5,500. And you probably can't name a receiver he threw to. Can you name one receiver he threw to? You probably can't. This guy is a legend, one of the greatest, most underrated quarterbacks of all time. However, the only thing holding it against him is his lack of a Super Bowl. He is the only guy on this list that does not have a Super Bowl win. But the stats and how early he was to be this great, I think makes up for that. And if he won the Super Bowl, easily a top 5 quarterback of all time, elite arm talent. It's just like, how can you not put this guy in your top 10?
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Would you like a cookie?
He could be higher again with a Super Bowl. However, his stats alone are enough for me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Another super underrated quarterback. In my humble opinion, Drew Brees is the most underrated quarterback in NFL history. Nobody talks about this guy enough. 13-time Pro Bowler, 1-time All-Pro, and that is the thing that sticks out the most. Only a 1-time All-Pro. And why is that? Playing in the NFL with quarterbacks like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, you know, guys that are higher than him on this list, it's hard to become an All-Pro when you have those type of guys. You have top 5 guys playing all at the same time. So that's the only thing that sticks out to you, right? 1-time Super Bowl champ, 1-time Super Bowl MVP. He finished with 172 wins, which is 4th all-time. And here, these stats are insane. This is why he is the most underrated quarterback in NFL history. Nobody talks about him enough. Nobody puts him on par with guys like Aaron Rodgers and them. 80,358 yards, which is 2nd all-time. 571 touchdowns, 2nd all-time. And we all know who the one in front of him is. A 67.7% completion percentage, which is 1st all-time. A 98.7 quarterback rating, which is 3rd all-time. 7,142 completions, 2nd all-time. And 280 yards per game, which is 2nd all-time. He is 1st, 2nd, or 3rd in pretty much every major quarterback statistical category. We just don't talk about him enough. So I think this is a perfect spot for Drew Brees. I don't think he's top 5 worthy. However, he's just missing out on it, and he deserves the recognition that he does not get. He does not get talked about as an all-time great quarterback like the guys in front of him, but I think he deserves it just as much.
Percocet, Miley Percocet.
It's become kind of cool to hate on Aaron Rodgers. However, I think we forget how truly elite this guy is. Truly elite. 4-time MVP, which is the 2nd most in NFL history. A 1-time Super Bowl champ, 1-time Super Bowl MVP, 4-time All-Pro, 10-time Pro Bowler. He has 62,952 passing yards, which is 7th all-time. 503 touchdowns, which is 5th all-time. A 65.1 completion percentage, which is 5th all-time. He has 102.6 quarterback rating, which is 1st all-time. And he has the best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history. Probably has the greatest throwing motion in NFL history, or at least the prettiest. I mean, it's gorgeous the way he throws the ball. It's almost an art. And again, the way he protects the ball, especially in his prime years, he was having seasons where he would throw 40 touchdowns and like 5 interceptions. Absurd. Just the efficiency that he has. Only a 1-time Super Bowl champ. He made it to the NFC Championship a couple times, just wasn't able to get over the hump. However, the 4-time MVP. You have to give the guy his flowers. I know he does drugs. I know he does perks. I know it's funny to laugh at him now, but he is one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. He truly, truly is. If you were to put him at 4, I have no problem with it. However, I'm gonna have him at 5. Super, super deserving of this. Aaron Percocet Rodgers.
Played their fucking asses off for that bullshit call. Offensive offsides? What the hell?
I know what you're thinking. Patrick Mahomes, his brother's gay, and his wife's a bitch. However, it's impossible to deny this guy's greatness. This is coming after the insane Super Bowl loss that he had against the Eagles. If he would have won the Super Bowl, I think there's an argument he's top 3 all time. However, he got blown out, and he had those garbage time stats. You know, it is what it is. However, this guy is a top 4 quarterback of all time, and he's still playing, and he's only started 7 years. You know how insane that is, to only start 7 years and be a top 5 quarterback in NFL history? That's absurd. 6-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time MVP, 2-time All-Pro, 3-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time Super Bowl MVP. He has, only started 7 years. He has been to 7 straight AFC Championship appearances, and he has 5 Super Bowl appearances in those 7 years. Only 2, lost to Brady, and then lost to Joe Burrow. And he has 288.9 yards per game, which is first all-time in NFL history. You know, so many records that we could say he's broken, but I mean, the fact that he's just a winner, okay? He's just a winner. You don't have to like him. His wife's a bitch, brother's gay, and he's weird. But when you just win, it's impossible not to put you here, okay? I don't really know if he'll ever win another MVP again, just because how much people hate him. Really doesn't matter, okay? He's a winner. I don't know. I mean, it's just, you can hate him all you want, but this is where he is for me. Alright, stop. The original Joe Cool. The way that you look at Joe Burrow, that's what this guy was. The original Joe Burrow. Joe Montana. 4-time Super Bowl champion. 3-time Super Bowl MVP. Oh, and by the way, in those 4 Super Bowls, he went 4-0. Did not lose a single one. 2-time MVP. 3-time All-Pro. 8-time Pro Bowler. He's named to the NFL's 1980s All-Decade team. He has the highest passer rating for quarterbacks playing in multiple Super Bowls in NFL history at 127.8. Arguably the clutchest quarterback in NFL history. So cool under pressure, so calm under pressure. He has the wins to back it up, but he also has the individual accolades. Easily one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. Nothing to say about him that hasn't already been said. We know how great he is. Only guy from the 80s that's up here this high for a good reason.
I'm also Peyton Manning.
It's lovely, Peyton.
Did you say Peyton or Peyton?
Number 2, I don't think there's really a question on this who the second best quarterback in NFL history is. Peyton Manning. He has 5 MVPs, which is the most in NFL history. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ, 1 for the Colts, 1 for the Broncos, 1-time Super Bowl MVP for the Colts. Von Miller got the other one. 14-time Pro Bowler, 7-time All-Pro, 71,940 yards, 3rd all-time, 539 touchdowns, 3rd all-time, 270 yards per game, 65.3% completion percentage, 4th all-time, 187 wins, 3rd all-time. He has the longevity. He has the peak. He has everything. How could you not love Peyton Manning? And let's not forget, he's funny. He's a funny guy. He does commercials. Haha, let's laugh at Peyton Manning. Debating Manning, Peyton Manning, like art painting. How could you not laugh at this guy? However,
we know who number 1 is.
You think you know me?